I've always just loved stories, and I love how they always seem that they need to be told. And like tonight, just hearing everybody's stories was just so beautiful. And it was so interesting to me that this topic brought up like religion in so many different ways, even to the Pope being here on stage. I was like, awesome. And it's just kind of ironic that the story that I thought I would tell will keep that going. So in 2005, the Denver Center Theater Company put on a show called Jesus Hates Me. Personally, I don't think he does. But it would take the beautiful, childlike innocence of my son at that time to conjure up a plan that might just piss Jesus off. So Alistair's birthday is in August, and so it was kind of surprising to me when on a really snowy day in March, he came running up to me, and he was like really enthusiastic, and he goes, Dad, 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 Dad. He goes, I know what kind of party I want. I was like, well, what kind of birthday party do you want, Alistair? And he's like, I want a Jesus party. My immediate concern was really that I wouldn't be able to get matching plates, cups, napkins, and things from Target. But I also had other reservations as well, because the invitations were going to have to be handmade. And that's, think of the work. And it was also difficult not to imagine when they're being opened by parents of his friends, and they look and it's like, come celebrate Alistair's birthday party at his Jesus party. Apostle apparel optional. So obviously, it came as a kind of a shock to me where my son was like suddenly had come up with this. And yet, it probably shouldn't have been that big a shock because, I mean, as a family, we're regular churchgoers, and he'd been baptized and confirmed, had first communion and all that. And he's a really inquisitive kid, and he loves kind of working things out. So it's kind of a logical sequence to put like God and Jesus to the right hand of God, and maybe to the left hand of like Batman, Spider-Man, and the Incredible Hulk. I mean, to him, they're all like superheroes together. You just have to pick one for a damn good party. So I know. And so Alistair had obviously worked this out. As I said, he's inquisitive about it. It was planned. So he was like tugging my shoulder. He goes, yeah, Dad, yeah. Because you know what? It's going to be really cool to have a Jesus piñata. I am a big believer in boundaries. I think boundaries are really important for all of us, many times. But one of the things about boundaries for me is I've always loved is the main reason for their existence is to push them. And you've just got to push the boundaries. And I've always loved seeing what kind of happens outside the norms and just what goes through it. But pushing a boundary is very different from breaking one. And so I sometimes wonder if you break a boundary, is there another boundary, or what happens? I mean, if you just drift out in this start fishing in the murky waters of the taboo, it's like, where does the next boundary even happen, if it does? And I firmly believe there is a boundary, and that boundary is a Jesus piñata. Yeah. But it does obviously conjure up a really vivid image, and I just see it swaying gently in the wind, and long hair, sandals, white robe, and the hands just slightly out from each side in that kind of all a welcome way. And below that, there are 9 sugar-starved 7-year-old kids with sticks ready to smash him to bits. So at this point, Alistair realized that his party was having quite an effect on his dad. And he was like, all I have to do to gain, the party of my dreams is to drive home the sales pitch. So he just looks up at me and he goes, Dad, not only that, but we can also play Pin the Jesus on the cross. It is rare for me to be speechless. I was speechless. It was a rare occasion. My mouth just kind of opened and closed, rhythmically, like a goldfish. I was like, I had all these thoughts going through my head, and I was like, is this really happening to me? And if it is, how the hell am I going to get out of this mess? And things like Does he understand the potential flaws in a pin-on game that has 3 contact points? Where's my wife? How much does relocation cost? Do they still stone people? And of course, what would Jesus do? So I realized at that point I needed to dad up, and I needed to be firm, and I needed to be absolutely stamp this out before it entered and became a huge national media shitstorm. So I just looked at my son, and I just said in a really deep tone, I went, Alistair, go ask your mother.